Smiles are not just random movements of the facial muscles. They are one of the most subtle ways the human mind reveals its internal landscape. When a person smiles, their face becomes a temporary screen that displays micro-adjustments in emotional tone, comfort levels, and psychological intentions. Even a small change in eye movement or lip tension can dramatically alter the message being broadcast. To a trained observer, a smile can speak more truthfully than verbal language, because the body rarely lies as efficiently as words do. In everyday interactions, people often rely on smiles to lubricate social exchanges. Imagine a co-worker who walks into the office in a tense mood after a stressful morning. When a colleague greets them, they may respond with a quick, compressed smile, mouth corners lifted just enough to seem polite. Yet the eyes remain dull and contracted. No verbal explanation is needed. The restrained facial muscles reveal irritability more accurately than words like, "I'm fine" ever could. In this sense, the smile becomes a tiny psychological confession. The complexity of smiling increases further when layered with cultural expectations. In some societies, smiling is a social currency. People are trained to smile to avoid unnecessary conflict or to maintain interpersonal harmony. In others, smiling is reserved for intimacy or genuine warmth. These cultural variations explain why sometimes travelers misinterpret friendliness or coldness in foreign environments. The behavioral codes governing facial expressions are not universal. What appears warm to one culture may signal superficiality to another. Yet across all cultures, the smile still functions as an emotional interface that smooths the friction of daily human contact. Because of this, smiling has become one of the most reliable and silent tools for managing relationships. Without uttering a sentence, a smile can apologize, soften irritation, request approval, or express submission. This silent communication makes relationships more efficient and reduces the cognitive load required to interpret emotional cues. We may not consciously analyze every microexpression we encounter, but our nervous system does. Millions of years of social evolution have trained humans to read smiles quickly, almost instinctively, as a survival mechanism. While smiles serve as a social lubricant, they also reveal emotional contradictions. People rarely feel a single emotion at a time. Instead, the body blends shades of feelings, relief mixed with concern, affection mixed with insecurity, excitement mixed with fear. These blends leak out through the face, often before the conscious mind has decided what story it wants to tell. A person who claims to be confident may smile broadly, yet their lip tension and rapid swallowing betray anxiety. Similarly, a polite dinner guest might laugh at a joke while maintaining slightly raised inner eyebrows, signaling polite discomfort rather than amusement. These subtleties matter because the human brain is trained to notice inconsistencies. When the facial muscles say one thing and the verbal language says another, we tend to trust the body. This is especially true in high-stakes settings such as negotiations, dates, job interviews, or reconciling conflicts. Even infants display this ability. Before they learn to speak, babies already track changes in facial musculature to determine safety, threat, playfulness, or warmth. This early sensitivity forms the foundation of emotional intelligence, which later becomes critical for adult relationships. Modern psychology describes this as nonverbal leakage, the seepage of authentic emotion through channels that the conscious mind cannot fully control. Among all forms of leakage, micro-smiles are particularly revealing because they appear quickly and disappear before a person can reshape them. For example, someone listening to gossip about a colleague might briefly smile with only one corner of their mouth, signaling contempt. They may then recover into a neutral expression, but the message has already escaped. What leaks is often more honest than what remains. The workplace is one of the richest environments for studying smiles and micro-expressions. In many offices, success depends on cooperation, impression management, and subtle hierarchy navigation. Employees quickly learn which smiles buy goodwill, which smiles diffuse tension, and which smiles function as currency for professional alliances. A manager reviewing an employee might offer a restrained smile with closed lips, indicating respect but also a boundary. By contrast, a subordinate trying to gain favor may use longer smiles accompanied by head tilts or eye widening, signaling friendliness and non-threat. Such patterns appear everywhere, in sales meetings, performance reviews, networking events, and even casual office conversations. A salesperson mastering micro-smiles can influence clients without appearing manipulative, while a negotiator can detect weakening resolve through brief softening around the eyes. These interactions illustrate that the smile is not merely decorative, it is tactical. It allows individuals to build social capital, protect status, and secure cooperation with minimal verbal effort. Smiling also plays a vital role in reducing psychological resistance. When people feel confronted, judged, or evaluated, they often activate internal defenses that block persuasion. However, smiles create a cushion that makes difficult information easier to digest. A doctor delivering unpleasant test results, a teacher correcting a student, or a parent disciplining a child may soften the message with a smile, not to trivialize the situation, but to maintain relational safety. The nervous system interprets the smile as evidence that connection remains intact, which prevents flight or fight responses from taking over. Researchers have found that genuine smiles increase compliance in everyday contexts. A barista who smiles sends more customers into a pro-social mode, increasing tips and positive reviews. Even police officers are trained to maintain neutral or softened facial expressions to prevent escalation. When the social environment feels safe, people cooperate more, negotiate more fairly, and reveal more information about their true thoughts. The smile serves as a permission slip for openness. The deepest function of smiling emerges not in professional environments, but in intimate relationships, friendships, families, romantic partnerships, and long-term companionship. In these contexts, smiles form a language of reassurance. A partner may glance across the room during a social gathering and smile briefly, signaling support without interrupting. A parent might smile at their child during a stressful recital, signaling safety and belonging. These micro-reassurances accumulate over time, forming emotional security that words alone cannot provide. Conversely, the absence of smiles can destabilize relationships. A partner who stops offering soft smiles during conflict may not be withdrawing from the argument, but from the relationship itself. Therapists often track such changes to evaluate relational health. One couple may argue fiercely, yet still crack mutual smiles in the middle of tension, indicating that despite the disagreement, connection persists. Another couple may speak calmly, yet never smile at each other, signaling that the relational fabric has already thinned. Human beings depend on such nonverbal confirmations because verbal language evolved relatively late in our species' development. For millions of years before speech, social bonding threat detection, and cooperation relied on facial musculature and vocal tone. Smiling is therefore not merely cultural, it is biological. The vagus nerve, oxytocin system, and mirror neuron network all activate during mutual smiling, reinforcing trust and synchronizing emotional states between individuals. Even strangers benefit from this synchronization. A brief smile exchange with passerby may seem insignificant, yet studies demonstrate that positive microinteractions predict long-term mental health, belonging, and resilience. Societies with higher rates of casual smiling tend to report greater social trust, lower aggression, and more cooperative norms. Smiles create social glue, binding individuals into networks that sustain communities.